Get your business launched with Space Coast Daily through spacecoastdaily.com, Space Coast Daily's social media, in print with Space Coast Daily newspaper and the magazine, as well as email blasts and the mobile app, and also at Space Coast Daily events. You can reach new customers every day. Get launched with Space Coast Daily and take your business to new heights. Call 321-323-4460 today.
And good morning, everybody. Orville Susong of the Friday Night Locker Room on Space Coast Daily TV. And we're at the Urban Automotive Studios, located on the 520 Causeway on Merritt Island. Joining me in the studio today from All Points, a company dealing with the space program, Steve Lloyd and his father, Paul. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
Steve, let me ask you first, All Points, it doesn't sound like a company that's dealing in space or anything like that. So explain to our viewers a little bit what you do, what All Points does for the Space Center.
So All Points, as we're headquartered right down the street here in Merritt Island, we're very fortunate to have been involved in the space program, working with NASA and other companies for a number of years. So our biggest area of support has been in the human spaceflight domain. So one of the things that we do is support from a high-end engineering software development type of activities, a lot of information technology, but the recent activities have been focused around getting humans from the U.S. back into space. So we've supported a number of the commercial crew and commercial cargo programs and activities. We have done a lot of work in the development of the Orion capsule. So we do a lot of the software development associated with helping the spacecraft fly and do some of the modeling and simulation required to get that system ready to go. That should be launching from KSC here in the very near future. And more importantly and more recently is some of the work we're doing on the human spaceflight side of getting humans, the first woman and the next man, back on the moon. So we're actively supporting two of the teams that are engaged in making that a reality again. So we're extremely fortunate to be involved in just about every aspect of the human spaceflight program associated with NASA and the commercial evolving activities.
Steve, I'm excited this morning to talk to your dad. Talking to him a little bit before we went on the air. 26, 27 years out at Kennedy Space Center. Been retired now for 30 years, lives back up in North Carolina. But Paul, you were excited about the space program way back in the 60s. You brought your family down to Titusville. Talk about your first job at Kennedy and how you were able to get that.
I came down, put an application in with Pan Am. They decided to send me on down, hire me and send me on down to Antigua Island to do some mods on some of the equipment on Antigua. And I wound up doing the mod on the communications building, which was a large security thing.
Now, you came to Titusville to be in the space program, and your first job sends you out of the country. How did the family like that?
He abandoned us.
Yeah, I didn't even stay here to help them move. Pan Am sent me right on down to Antigua.
Well, that had to be some exciting times down there.
Oh, it was. I loved every minute of it. Well, I loved the space program.
Well, when you came, the Apollo program was going on. Talk a little bit about the rockets and stuff that you got to work on, and that you actually got to see lift off from Kennedy Space Center.
Okay, I worked on Apollo 5. I was electrical tech, and I was a team member on the Apollo 11, wasn't it, that went to the moon.
Yep.
And I was on the pad that the moonshot left from. I was the one of the electrical techs.
That had to be some really exciting times. Number one, you come down here wanting to be involved in the Space Center, and you're right out there doing everything you wanted to do.
Yes, it was very exciting for me. I enjoyed every minute of it. I loved my job.
Now, your son, Steve, graduates from Astronaut High School in Titusville, goes to the University of Central Florida, gets a degree, wanting to be in the space program, likes it like his dad, but he doesn't start out in the space program. He starts globetrotting around the world looking for oil. Steve, talk a little bit about that.
Well, just because I wasn't wise enough yet to, to really understand, where the importance was. But no, it was a great opportunity. It was, at that time, looking for oil, the oil exploration, the seismic exploration was just about a high-end endeavor as we had going on. The technology was evolving, and there was a lot of money flowing around oil in the early 80s, a lot of people remember. So it was a great time to go off and hone some of my technical skills and get to see the world. And so, and really that set the path for what I did when I came back and brought some of that knowledge back to the space program, because I was doing a lot of positioning, very, again, high-end, cutting-edge technology, and I was able to come back and bring some of that knowledge and skill back to the shuttle program. And when I decided that I'd gotten wise enough and decided that coming back home was the right thing to go do, and that was in the late 80s, that it was just a natural fit. And then I got to come back, and my dad was still working out at the Space Center, so although we didn't cross paths that often out there, it was a great thing to kind of follow his legacy, back into the space program.
Paul, how excited were you when your son decided to come back to Titusville and actually get a job out at the Cape?
Oh, I was real excited to have him out there working on the space program. I enjoyed having him, so I could see him occasionally, more often.
Now, Paul, you've been retired now for over 30 years, 26, 27 years with the space program. How often do you have to give Steve a call on the phone to get him back into doing the right thing out there at Kennedy Space Center?
Well, he's a good son. Let me say that to start with. He calls me every morning and every night, 7 days a week. And we exchange stories.
Now, you retired 30 years ago, moved back to North Carolina, I believe. Talk about the home spread up there.
My hometown, our home place, it was built in 1913.
Or before. Or before.
Yeah,
it's not, you can't get a date on it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And of course, Steve and my daughter were born there. And like Steve said, it's a real historic place. It's right beside the church that I belong to. The church is 250 plus years old.
Wow.
And we have the original church that was built on site. The church was really begun under a shade tree. And it evolved from there till now. I've been a member there 45 years.
Now, Steve, let me ask you, your most memorable moment out at Kennedy Space Center, what would that be?
Well, it's hard to pick one. I was out there on site for close to 25 years and supported, I don't know, upwards of 70 or 75 shuttle launches in one capacity or another. And it's funny because I was talking to my family just the other day, and the one thing that came up was when we lost Columbia. They were, when we lost it due to the wing damage, and I was telling them that I was sitting on console because at that point I was managing all of the navigational landing aids for the shuttle program. And we were sitting on console waiting for it to come back and land here at Kennedy Space Center. And then, well, as everybody knows, it didn't happen. So, and the reason we're talking about it was because it was one of my kids' birthday, and we had a big birthday party planned at the house. And I said, yeah, we'll get the thing landed, and I'll be home and have the party. And but that was a sad day. Obviously, that was a pretty significant thing. But that doesn't overshadow all the positive things out there. Every launch was, extremely memorable. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just gives you goosebumps.
Paul, you spent almost 27 years out at Kennedy Space Center or down in Antigua. Do you have a moment that you look back on and think, wow, that was really the best of all times?
You're speaking of work out at...
Yes.
Okay, my most memorable time was doing the security system on the Space Center.
Oh.
The entire Space Center. They gave it to a contractor, but he couldn't finish it, so they gave it to EG&G
Okay.
to finish the job up, and we had to do that.
Now, Paul, you're 93 years old. You'll be 94 in November, I believe.
Yes.
Still up in North Carolina working in your electrical shop.
Yes.
How do you do it, man? How do you keep going?
You just do. You keep going. Keep on keeping on.
Well,
And what's I think part of it is really his enthusiasm for space. In his house, he's got a special TV set up in his living room that only airs NASA television, and he watches it on a regular basis, times a day. And in fact, there's a lot of times he'll tell me about things that are going on in the space industry, keep me up to date on things that I wasn't aware of, just because he stays so in touch and so in tune with the space industry after all these years.
Paul, do you ever watch that TV and think, what are these knuckleheads doing?
No, I can't say that.
Well, that's good. Well, Steve, I know you sit on the board of the Space Museum. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's an honor. I mean, because the biggest thing that we do is try to preserve a lot of the stuff that has happened is, not just in Titusville or at KSC, but across the whole domain of space. And so being able to participate on that board and help us to continue that legacy and give the opportunity to showcase what we've done or what they've done, not just me, what the previous generations have done is pretty important. And, one of the biggest things is that the other board members that sat on there, these are the folks like my dad that were out there and made things happen, way back in the Apollo days. So just getting to be part of the Space Museum and all the STEM activities that we provide and being able to present all the material and everything to the visitors that come through the museum is great. But, we go to board meetings and we're sitting there talking to the folks that have been around, and these guys, are talking stories that I've been so confident, that are so fortunate that I hear the same kind of stories that I hear from my dad. This is what we did back in the Apollo days. This is the challenges. These are the things. So, I mean, it's just a phenomenal group to be around.
Let's talk a little bit. We're talking about going back to the moon. We're talking about talk a little bit about Mars.
Well, hopefully, going back to Mars is something that we will achieve. Maybe not in my professional lifetime, but in my lifetime. But the steps that we're taking to get back to the moon are the appropriate steps, in my opinion. And me and my dad talk about this all the time. These are the right kind of things for our nation to do. And go back to the moon. We'll cut our teeth. We'll do the crawl and walk thing. And the walking is getting us back to the moon. But we're making all the right steps right now, making the investments in the technology and the infrastructure, building the right type of spacecraft and vehicles, so that hopefully, as we've got the space policy intact right now, we'll start making those types of strides, in the next 10 to 15 years so that we can get back to space travel, which will put people outside of you know, the low Earth orbit and the moon, and get back to the real challenges that are out there that will affect our society in the long term. And even as we were talking this morning on the way down here, you know, he was saying, yep, just, you know, space is the exciting frontier that it's always been, and it's getting more exciting every day.
Paul, does it still excite you when you see these things on TV and you talk to your son about what they're doing out there?
Oh yes, because Earth is taking a beating.
Oh boy, that's for sure.
We're gonna have to find someplace else to go, to my estimation.
Have you got a ticket on one of the trips to Mars yet?
No.
No. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you taking a little bit of the time, especially you, Paul, coming in and talking about your career at NASA, out at Kennedy Space Center. 27-year veteran out there, 30 years retired. That's the part I like. 30 years retired and still going strong. 94th birthday coming up in November. And again, good luck with that and happy birthday with that. So gentlemen, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your time for sure. So for All Points, Steve Lloyd and his retired aerospace father, Paul, I'm Orville Susong with the Friday Night Locker Room on Space Coast Daily TV. And as always, brought to you by Erdman Automotive. Thanks for watching.
Space Coast Daily is Brevard's most trusted news. Through spacecoastdaily.com and Space Coast Daily's social media reach, hundreds of thousands of people stay informed every day. Through Space Coast Daily's unmatched digital reach with the Space Coast Daily's direct mail newspaper and Space Coast Daily the magazine in print, our loyal and engaged viewers enjoy free local news they can trust every day, and all at no charge thanks to our successful advertising clients, and also at our special events at Space Coast Daily Park in Vieira, where hundreds of thousands of people see our clients' advertisements. Call today to get your message seen on Space Coast Daily and take your business to new heights. Get launched with Space Coast Daily. Call 321-323-4460 today.